So first, I have to start this off by saying that the most important thing about transgender people is that they're people. So the entire concept of debating, you know, what transgender rights are is disgusting in my point of view. They're fellow human beings. They deserve all the rights of fellow human beings. I mean, it's really that simple. Adding or subtracting anything from that, I'm sorry, it just makes you trash. Okay, these are our fellow human beings, uh, and that's really should be it. The end of the story. Unfortunately, we not only don't live in a perfect world, uh, we let all the dumbest people and all the cruelest people run the show. So now there's a transgender debate, which is it's disgusting the fact that it is even a question. Yes, transgender people deserve rights. They deserve all the rights. I mean, it's absurd. Um, and then just to quickly address, I really hate like all you know, the big thing now is to accuse transgender people and people who dress up in drag or those pretty much any sort of anybody who questions the gender norms as groomers, like they're actively trying to groom children into this lifestyle, and on the one hand, it's gross, and that besides being completely untrue, most people, because of how awful our society is, who are transgender or who are gender questioning, gender queer, pretty much anything other than the societally accepted cis people, they struggle a lot with it, and almost none of them that I've ever talked to wanted other people to go through what they go through, especially kids, like their childhoods. Like they generally don't speak very highly of their childhood, um, and the idea that they are they are actively trying to get other people like them when they're still struggling and trying to define who they are because society won't just let them be. So we put that extra weight on them. Uh, so it's ridiculous. If you think they're groomers, then I know you've never really spent any time getting to know anybody outside the bubble of your own reflection. you know. Uh, okay, I did say there were 2 points. What was the other point? So, of course, oh, yes. And then when you look at who is actually grooming, I mean, let's jump to the extreme here, since that's what um, the right and the conservatives like to do. Let's drag out the most extreme examples of like human trafficking rings and pedophile rings. Okay, so say for every pedophile ring that's busted, if there are basically more than like 5 people that get busted, there's some things you can guarantee. You can guarantee one is most likely a cop, one is most likely a youth pastor. Um, and the bigger the group gets, the more likely you're going to find more cops and more youth pastors, if not, um, just normal church pastors. And then you also find teachers, but not the liberal, the ones that are trying to create a safe environment for children who are questioning their gender, it's actually the opposite. You find it's the more conservative, the creepy teacher, the strict teacher that uh, is all the girls are very uncomfortable around. That's that's who you almost definitely find in every pedophile ring. Um, there are no drag pedophile rings. Like there's never in history been a bust of a bunch of people who engage in drag who are also running a pedophile ring. It's generally the people who yell groomer the loudest that has been proven time and time again are the actual people trying to groom children. Um, so so it really seems to me the all the I don't know. Again, I don't want to go off way on a tangent. I had a set idea for this video, which is why is it critical? Why is it central pillar for modern socialism um, to enshrine transgender rights? Why is that uh, central to the idea? Um, and it really comes down to, the defining characteristic of the left, and especially of anybody who considers themselves a socialist, has to be compassion. I mean, it has to be. That is sort of the foundation of socialism. It pretty much is. If you want to define socialism in one word, what is it? It's compassion. It's society taking care of itself. It's people looking after each other. Um, so for and another extremely important thing that comes with socialism, you want a healthy society. In order to have a healthy society, you have to have healthy individuals, and to have healthy individuals, they have to feel comfortable expressing themselves. They need to feel embraced by society. Society should be actively embracing people who are expressing themselves. Society should be actively teaching people how to express themselves better, because a huge issue with society, I think, is pretty obvious, is there's so many people that don't know how to properly express what they're going through. So and transgender people need to be embraced as a part of that society, because they are part of our society. And a big part of their health, their mental health, their emotional well-being, which again, as a socialist, should be something you concern yourself with. If you are not concerned with the emotional well-being of transgender people, that just shows that you're not actually a socialist. You should stop calling yourself a socialist. You have nothing to do with socialism, because it is the well-being of others that is the primary concern, and taking care of the vital needs of the individual in order to have a healthy society that can continue taking care of the vital needs of the individual. So it is essential. Like, if you have ever discussed at all with anybody in any way LGBTQ, you know that hiding who they are, like those periods of their life where they can't come out, is mentally and emotionally devastating. Like, it's rough. That's why suicide rates are so high. A lot of self-harm, drug addiction, because they don't have that embrace of society, and they don't have that freedom to explore and express who they are. So, as socialists building a socialist society, it really, it has to be a priority. Otherwise, you're just taking the evils of capitalism and repackaging it. Um, yeah, I mean, really, it basically comes down to that: is compassion should be your central driving force. It should dictate everything. Everything. Your the whole economic foundation of socialism is based on compassion and making sure everybody has what they need and everybody is taken care of. Um, and that has to carry over to every other aspect of life. And so, to even for a second to hesitate to say, well, should transgender people have the right to do such and such? Should transgender people be allowed to blah 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 blah? Man, who the fuck are we to try to decide, you know, what other people's rights should be? Like, why are we discussing? I mean, again, it's just the fact that it's a discussion forces them into this position of an other and being outside of the community, outside of society that we're trying to address. So, well, how do we deal with this issue? I mean, it's obvious. We embrace them because they belong with us. They are part of our society. They are fellow human beings. They have every right to eat, to have a safe place to live, to have, um, you know, clean drinking water, to engage in society in a way that makes them as healthy as possible. Which, when you do that, means they are now, by default, contributing to and improving society. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my rant there. Uh, I had a lot more to say, but then as I say it, I mean, it really comes down to, are you a compassionate individual? Are you a piece of trash? And that's really it. That's the decision you have to make. If you're not, um, someone affected by this, if you're somebody like me on the cisgender dude, like, um, you really have to decide: are you human trash, or are you a compassionate human being? It really is that black and white, that cut and dry. Um, and when it comes to socialism, sure, there's a lot. I mean, basically, it's an economic system opposing capitalism, but it's so much more than that. I mean, especially when you look at, um, how socialism has grown in Latin America and why socialism has grown in Latin America. It really comes from just the heartache and devastation of seeing the poor suffer, seeing the poor be exploited. Um, and that's one of the reasons. Like, it really did become, the expression of the individual, their ability to be fully embraced by society became such a central part of everything Che Guevara did, everything that, um, Fidel Castro. I mean, and it took them time. Like, no, they weren't perfect when they started out. But if you really look at their speeches and, directly what they said, and the passion which was they really truly believed it, as they got on in life, and, just how much these issues they realized, like, these are the central issues. This is how you build socialism. This is how you build a society. It has to start around the absolute concern of the individual, and the healthier you get the individuals, the more they want to contribute and keep society healthy. And it becomes a desire, a drive. But also, the healthier they are, just the more they're going to contribute as it is. The more capacity they'll have to reach out, excuse me, in compassion to help other people. But again, like with Latin American socialism, from everything I've read, Hugo Chavez, man, 21st century socialism is really, as he developed it, like when he started, he wasn't even really a socialist. He just realized, as he was dealing, once he took over Venezuela and he started seeing really, you know, the things that needed to be done to have a better society, like better for all across the board. It's capitalism had to go, and that's when he started to develop 21st century socialism, and it was purely out of his love for the people, for you know the poor, like those who suffered the most, those who were struggling the most. I mean, that's where he kind of laser focused in on after, yes, making a series of mistakes, and he admits it. And that's one of the great things I love about um, a lot of modern socialists, especially in Latin America, is they don't want other people to repeat their mistakes. So they they're very open about the mistakes they've made. Anyway, like wow, this just went off the rails. This was not supposed to be about Latin American socialism, but I'm a fan of Latin American socialists and socialism in general. But um, yeah, so in summary, um, transgender people are human beings. Uh, to differentiate them as another is absolutely horrible. To try to debate their rights as if they aren't um, in every way equal to every other human being on the planet is absolutely disgusting. And if you don't accept that as a central founding principle of your socialist, your leftist beliefs, you really need to reevaluate uh, who you are and what you believe, because you're you're trash. And sorry to tell you, but you're trash. So, all right, have a great day, everybody.